The causes of World War I. The First World War started in 1914 and affected millions of people and countries. But why this war started and how? Of course, you remember when we studied the French-German War and the creation, the unification of Germany after the defeat of France. Unit 2.8, the unification of Germany. Do you remember the picture we saw? The proclamation of the Reich in Versailles Palace?
Deutschland, Deutschland, über alles, über alles in der Welt.
Germany became a military and economic power. The German Chancellor Otto von Bismarck created several alliances to maintain certain balance in European politics. Actually, the German goals were to isolate France and maintain an equilibrium in the Balkans. France was the main enemy of Germany because they shared a border and both countries had an interest in controlling the Alsace-Lorraine area. This area was an industrial zone rich in coal that belonged to Germany since the defeat of France in 1870. Of course, Germans feared the French may want to take back this territory, and that's the reason Bismarck tried to isolate France. Balkans region was complicated too, because different countries had interests there. The most powerful ones were two empires, Russian and Austria-Hungarian Empire. To avoid a war, and because Bismarck feared that a hostile combination of Austria, France and Russia would crush Germany, he created his series of alliances called the Bismarckian Alliance System, Sistemas Bismarckianos. They consisted of dual alliance, Germany, Austria, Hungary. Later, when Italy joined them, it became the Triple Alliance, and the League of the Three Emperors, Wilhelm I of Germany, Francis Joseph of Austria-Hungary, and the Tsar Alexander II of Russia. These alliances lasted since 1871 for almost 20 years, but they came into an end when the German Kaiser died, and his successor, Wilhelm II, changed completely his policy. The new Kaiser was more aggressive. He replaced Bismarck and started a period of armed peace since 1890 to 1914. During this period, all European countries increased the size and power of their armies and weapons. The European powers divided into two blocks: the Triple Alliance, Germany, Austria and Italy, and the Triple Entente, Russia, France and Britain. Not only the antagonism France-Germany was a source of conflict, the imperialism and the colonialism was a source of conflicts too, because Italy and Germany had few colonies, and they wanted to acquire more. Of course, Britain and France wanted to limit this German and Italian expansion. To weaken France, Germany encouraged the independence of Morocco, but the Algeciras Conference confirmed the French protectorate, and in 1912, Britain impulsed the Spanish protectorate, just to limit the French power in northern Africa. Another source of conflict was the Eastern question. The Ottoman Empire was falling apart. The closest empires, Russia and Austria-Hungary, wanted to increase their influence in the region, taking advantage of this falling apart of the Ottoman Empire. Austria, for example, wanted to expand along the coast of the Adriatic Sea, and to limit the Austrian power, Russia supported the Slavic states, Serbia and Bulgaria, to maintain their independence and not to come under the Austrian power. Anyway, a series of wars led to changes in this region. Bosnia-Herzegovina was annexed by Austria-Hungary, and most of Bulgaria was divided up among other countries. The period of the armed peace finished when the heir of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, the Archduke Franz Ferdinand, was assassinated in Sarajevo. The Serbian nationalist group, the Black Hand, killed the Archduke on 28 June 1914, and Austria-Hungary used this event to issue an ultimatum to Serbia, considering responsible for the assassination. Serbia rejected the ultimatum, and Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia. For sure you want to know the terms of this ultimatum, don't worry. We are going to work about it because it's one of the text commentaries we will be working in class. At that moment, the game of alliances started. Russia, allied of Serbia, mobilized its army to support its ally. Then Germany, in order to support Austria, declared war on Russia and France, the ally of Russia. When Germany invaded Belgium to go to France, Britain, the ally of France and Belgium, declared war on Germany. Italy, the third ally of Germany and Austria-Hungary, withdrew from the Triple Alliance and remained neutral for a while. Let's summarize the causes of this war watching this video.
You may be aware of the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand. This was, in fact, the trigger which set off the war from a number of underlying causes. These were militarism, alliances, imperialism, and nationalism. Militarism created an arms race out of competition and fear of neighbouring nations. Germany tried to compete in a naval race with Britain, building more and more ships. Alliances were created to check the balance of power between nations. In 1882, Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy formed the Triple Alliance. France, Britain, and Russia reacted in 1907 by creating the Triple Entente. Imperialism caused another type of competition and disagreement. The British and French empires made Germany jealous as it tried to colonize parts of Africa. Nationalism created the feeling that countries were better than others and promoted the anti-Austro-Hungarian sentiments in Serbia.
The course of war. The war was initially European, but when colonies sent troops and other countries from abroad, China, Japan, United States, or the Ottoman Empire, joined the war, this one became World War. Sides were conformed by the Triple Alliance, now without Italy, and the Triple Entente, Britain, France, and Russia. Triple Alliance without Italy is not triple, so it will be called also Central Powers. Anyway, these alliances got new members. To the Triple Alliance, the Ottoman Empire or Bulgaria, and to the Triple Entente, also called the Allies, Romania, Greece, the United States, China, and Japan. Germany had a plan for the war, designed by the General Alfred von Schlieffen in 1905. This plan consists of invading France, defeat France very quickly, and then go to invade Russia. The Schlieffen plan was successful at the beginning, and the German army arrived near Paris. But finally, the French stopped the Germans at the Battle of the Marne. Russia attacked the east of Germany, and then German troops from France were sent to the east, and the invasion of France stopped completely. All of this happened in 1914 in just 2 months, August and September. It was called the War of Movement. Since September, a new phase of the war started. It was called the War of Positions. Trenches and machine guns stabilized the fronts. Soldiers had terrible living conditions in trenches, and hundreds of thousands died of illnesses and ineffective attacks. There were 2 important offensives in 1916. The Battle of Verdun by the Germans and the Battle of the Somme by the British and French army. These battles were extremely harsh. More than 700,000 soldiers were killed in Verdun and more than 1 million in the Somme. These offensives were completely ineffective, and neither side advanced their positions. The war ran in other regions too. Other offensives were, for example, a British one, with the help of Arab nationalists, against the Ottoman Empire. This offensive led to the occupation of Ottoman possessions in the Near East, and the try of taking the Dardanelles Strait, although Allied troops were defeated at the Battle of Gallipoli. German colonies were also conquered by the British army in Africa and by the Japanese army in Asia, and seas were controlled by the powerful British Navy, although the Germans developed the submarine warfare to counterattack. Although the war remained bloody stabilized, In 1917, two events had important consequences. One was the Bolshevik Revolution in Russia, and the other one, the entrance of the United States in the war. In Russia, the Bolshevik Revolution led to the collapse of the Russian Western Front. So, Russia signed a peace treaty with Germany in March 1918, the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk. Then, German troops from the Eastern Front, the German Eastern Front, reinforced the Western Front. Italy joined the war, but sided not on its previous allies, Germany and Austro-Hungary, but joined the British-French side. Anyway, the turning point was the entrance of the United States, the intervention of the United States. With the help of the United States supplies and armies, the Allies attacked all fronts, and the Central Powers surrendered. The armistice was signed at 11 o'clock on 19th November 1918. The war was over. Consequences of World War I. Human consequences were the most horrible humanity had ever seen. Between 15 and 20 million people died during the war, and we don't know the exact number of injured people or disappeared people. Economic consequences focus on destruction of towns, crop fields, and mines in northeast France, Belgium, and northern Italy. The costs of war were also high for Britain and France, so they borrow a great amount of money from the United States during the years of the war. It wasn't actually money, it was supplies. Weapons, food, oil, minerals, and chemical products were borrowed from the United States, and as a consequence, Europe acquired a very huge debt. Political consequences were established during the Paris Peace Conference. This conference was aimed at signing different peace treaties between the winner and loser countries. The Allies and Central Powers signed different treaties. These treaties were named after the towns and cities where they were signed. Versailles, it was the treaty signed with Germany, Saint-Germain with Austria, Trianon with Hungary, Sèvres with Turkey, and Neuilly with Bulgaria. The treaties were imposed by the winner countries to the defeat ones. Consequently, main decisions were taken by the United States, France, Britain, and Italy. And conditions were very hard on loser countries. The main goals of these conditions were to prevent the resurgence of Germany. The last wars proved it to be a very dangerous country for France. To achieve a balance of power among the winner countries, to avoid future conflicts between them. Remember, there was a colonial rivalry between France and Britain. And to isolate Russia. In this country, after the Bolshevik Revolution, a communist regime was established, and the Allies, capitalist countries, feared that the eventual spread of this revolution and kind of economic system could affect them. After the war, countries realized the world needed one kind of organization to avoid future conflicts. The President of the United States, Woodrow Wilson, tried to create an international organization to regulate international relationships and to maintain peace through diplomacy instead of wars. This organization was called the League of Nations. The idea was great, but finally the Congress of the United States did not agree with their president. So United States, Russia, and Germany did not join this organization. And without these important powers, League of Nations was ineffective. Territorial changes were a direct consequence of war.
On June 28, 1919, a peace treaty is signed at Versailles. German representatives are not invited, and the country is forced to accept all demands of the victors. Germany and its allies are held solely responsible for war damages and must pay heavy compensation. Austria-Hungary and the Ottoman empires are dismantled, making way for new countries or colonies. Germany, meanwhile, finds itself humiliated and indebted. Its army is disbanded and colonies shared among the allies. The country cedes roughly 15% of its territory to France, Belgium, Denmark, and Poland, which is recreated. The only consolation is Germany remains largely intact due to no fighting on its territory, and its industry is still standing. The humiliation imposed upon Germany already leaves it with a desire for revenge.
The Treaty of Versailles considered Germany as the origin of the war, the cause of the war, so a penalty was given to Germany. Germany had to pay war reparations, very high war reparations.